A Japanese Zero fighter damaged during a dogfight with an American aircraft has crashed on a remote part of the Solomon Islands. What became of the pilot? Who knows? I decided that I wanted to do a diorama of a crashed aircraft in a jungle, but I didn't want to spend a lot of money on it because I didn't know how it would work out. So at the Vegas show, I found this kit, a Tamiya 0 in 1/48 scale. It was going at the bargain price of $15, so I bought it. I had to do a bit of work to bring it up to scratch, re-drill the seats, and then I started chopping it up. I cut the tail section off, put some spars in between, cut off the tail plane, and did a bit of work on the wings, cutting out a gun bay and putting some detail in there. For the base, I went to my trusty standby of pink insulation foam. I cut some of that out, laid it out in a way that I thought would work, and then I covered it in plaster of Paris. After that, I sprayed it, various shades of green and brown, and then started laying on foliage. I placed the partially completed aircraft on top of the base just to see how it would look and if my vision was going to work. The next step was painting the aircraft, and I started by doing the underneath first as a little bit of practice by using a stencil just to see if I could get a mottling effect going, something that I was going to work on the top. I sprayed the whole aircraft using brown as a rust color over silver. In between I had hairspray, and through layers of hairspray and paint I ended up with the green that you see now. I then hand painted on markings, the famous Hinamaru. Then I started on the weathering. So it was basically using water to wear away the hairspray underneath the layers of paint so that it would show up as wear, just to try and replicate what might have happened to the plane as it sat there over decades in the jungle. In the next shot you can see what that starts to look like, and you can actually see the different colors underneath as they kind of come through. Then you can see where I've cut away the fuselage, and you can clearly see where the wear has happened. It's starting to look like I'm trying to get my finished result. Here is the gun bay, and you can see the wear around that. I actually used a kitchen foil around it and peeled that back to look like aluminium skin of the aircraft. Next I did the cockpit, and I used one of the excellent Quinta Studios cockpit sets. Had to weather that a little bit. At this point I attached the aircraft to the base. This was going to be its final resting place. So the only thing left for me to do was to pour the resin, which I really enjoy. Here you can see the resin that the aircraft is sitting in, and I started to use oil paints, green paint there, to make a line where there would be moss, foliage that had grown over time, and there I had to put some in the cockpit and around it to signify age and algae and all of those things you'd find in the jungle. And the final finished result. I was pretty pleased with it, and it gave me a bit of confidence to do this with a more expensive kit, and at some point you'll see that video of my P-38 on a jungle beach. Thanks for watching, and thanks to my daughter Maya for providing the music with her flute.